the Tornado Recovery Committee. We have council members on, and we also have various agencies on, including Public Work, the Community Foundation, Metro Schools, Public Works. Before we jump into the agenda, for council members that's on the phone, if you can go ahead, state your name and the districts that you represent.
Jeff Syracuse, District 15 is here.
Councilwoman Quante Toombs, District 2.
Hey, this is Councilmember Sean Parker, District 5.
And I know we have I'm getting some updates from other council members. They're going to be a little late. Can we go ahead and have our agencies go ahead and identify themselves? We could start with FEMA, Metro Schools, and any utilities, including Public Works.
Hi, this is Jim Woodard with FEMA, and I have several colleagues on the phone. I have Alicia Morris, Tracy Harbor, and Norma Mitchell on the phone to participate.
This is Mark North with Metro Schools.
This is Greg Bailey representing the Long-Term Recovery Group.
Also, Rebecca Finley with the Long-Term Recovery Group.
Hi, this is LaTanya Chan with the Business Administration. I also have 2 staff on the line.
This is Amy Fair with the Community Foundation.
Philip Jones with Public Works.
Okay, that looks like that's everyone that we have. So thanks everyone for being here. This is our second meeting, and for some of the new agencies that's online with us, the scope of our committee is to make sure that we're continuing to assess the needs of the impacted areas as it relates to their damage for the tornado. In the midst of COVID, we know a lot of the conversations and resources and efforts have been geared towards that, and rightly so. The charge of our committee is just to make sure that our families that were impacted by the tornado, that they're not forgotten about, and that we ultimately make sure that there's no gaps in services and providing them the resources that they need for actual recovery. So we're going to go ahead and just jump into our agenda. And a lot of this was steered from our initial call from the council members and some of their feedback. I don't see that he's on yet. So I was going to provide a utility update, but we'll come back to that. And council members, you should have received some emails with various reference materials that I hope will assist you in assisting your constituents as we all continue to chart our way through this recovery effort. So without that, I'm going to go ahead and let our FEMA representatives go ahead and just walk us through their presentation. Mr. Woodard, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thank you all for allowing us to participate in your meeting, and especially thank you to the chair, council member Butcher, for the invitation. My name is Jim Woodard. I'm the Assistant External Affairs Officer for the FEMA Recovery Operation following the March 3rd tornado. We are here at the invitation of the state of Tennessee, and we, of course, will work closely with the state throughout this recovery period. With us today, I have my colleagues from FEMA Individual Assistance Program, from our federal partners, the Small Business Administration and the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I can tell you that to date, FEMA has approved more than $2 million in disaster grants for homeowners and renters in the 3 designated counties of Davidson, Putnam, and Wilson. In Davidson County alone, nearly $1.4 million has been approved. Our message today is focused on the importance of registration, discussing letters of eligibility, and the appeal process. Following that, we will ask SBA to discuss the link with FEMA and the importance of following the process for their continued assistance. Then the HUD representative will highlight their programs for assistance in the community. We know that with all going on, we especially do not want to lose focus for the survivors of the tornado hurricanes, so that is our purpose today. Following their presentations, I'll ask for comments, and then as the chair wishes, we could take questions. I will remind all on the phone, though, that we will not be able to answer questions that would disclose or infringe upon any person's or individual's right of privacy. Alicia, if I may ask you to begin with the discussion on individual assistance, and then you would turn it over to Tracy for the SBA presentation. And then we'll follow that with time. Alicia, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we all can hear you.
Yes, I think we can.
Okay, well, thank you for inviting me to join. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is the importance of applying. The deadline to apply for individual assistance is May the 4th. FEMA offers disaster survivors multiple options to apply. You can apply online or using your smartphone. To apply online, you go to disasterassistance.gov, where you can register for assistance and also check the status of your current application. And then you can also go to FEMA.gov to download the application to use your smartphone as a method of applying. You can also call our National Processing Service Center at 1-800-621-3362 to either register, apply, or if you've already applied, to check the status of your claim or for help understanding the eligibility determination letters. Our assistance provides financial assistance and services to eligible individuals and households who have uninsured or underinsured necessary expenses and serious needs. It's not a substitute for insurance and can't compensate for all the losses. Our program is basically divided into 2 sections. Our housing assistance, which is direct financial grant assistance, can be provided in the form of assistance for lodging expense reimbursement, if you have hotel expenses, rental assistance, which can go up to 18 months of rental assistance from the date of the declaration. Also included under the housing assistance program is home repair and replacement. We also have another program under our individuals and households program, other needs assistance. Some types of other needs assistance may only be provided if the applicant does not qualify for a disaster loan through the Small Business Administration. These are what we call SBA dependent types of ONA, other needs assistance, and that would include personal property, moving and storage, and transportation. The non-SBA dependent categories are funeral assistance, medical and dental, child care, assistance for miscellaneous items, and critical needs assistance. Our appeals process. Typically, an applicant has 60 days to appeal a determination. We're not worried about the 60-day appeal deadline in this disaster. All someone would need to do is when they submit their appeal is to just include a reason why they were not able to apply in a timely manner. And those can be reasons. Now, in this case, it could be because of COVID. It could be because of lack of available contractors, an illness, a death in the family. Basically, just include a reason. When, in order to appeal, the applicant's appeal letter must explain the reasons for the appeal and must be signed by the applicant or a person who the applicant authorizes in his behalf. And the appeal submission would need to include their full name, their FEMA application number and disaster number, the address where the damages occurred, and a current phone number. After FEMA receives the appeal, a caseworker with no prior involvement in the case will review the appeal to determine if there's sufficient documentation to change FEMA's determination. If more information is needed in order to make a determination, FEMA will either call the applicant and send a letter requesting additional information with a new deadline of 30 days to submit the additional information. We may also contact a third party, such as the contractor, if we receive a contractor's estimate along with the appeal, or it could result in an appeal inspection. Our determination letters, our eligibility determination letters, if the 800 number that I gave you earlier is a great resource in understanding those letters. A lot of times it's only because we need additional documentation. Like for an owner, if we weren't able to verify that they were the actual owner of the damaged dwelling when we did the FEMA inspection, we may need them to send in proof of ownership. There could be a case where they were denied because of the identity did not verify correctly. So we would just need, proof of identity. These letters will explain what is required to overturn a decision, an ineligible decision. And I think that is all that I was asked to talk about. So I will hand this back over to Jim, pending any questions.
Council members, do you have any questions?
Yes, this is Councilmember Parker. Do we have any way to measure how many possibly eligible people have applied for assistance from FEMA? Can we quantify that just to kind of see where we're at this point?
Jim, were you going to take that, or do you want me?
You take it.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to pull some numbers. Hold on just a moment.
Thank you.
And then Councilman Parker, they were working on that to break that information out by zip code.
Oh, wonderful. That's fantastic.
Alicia, I'm back. I lost my screen for a minute, so I lost my audio. The question was how many? Thank you. Can you restate the question?
Yes, I was asking if we have an estimate of how many potentially eligible people have actually applied for assistance with FEMA. I would say within Davidson County.
Well, I can tell you that there have been valid registrations of about 37. Those would be registrations that are in some stage of approval or processing.
Sir, was that?
So I cannot tell you. Go ahead.
Was that 37 as in
3,700.
3,700. Okay, thank you. Yes, because you cut off when you said 100, and I was like, wow, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think I got a little trouble with my sound, but hopefully we got it fixed sure. But yes, that dollar amount I gave you is the approved and actually number actually sent out. The 3,700, those people that got money would be a subset of this at this point, because that's a continuing process. In other words, there will be appeals going on. There will be people that need to submit additional information. You have to take that with that understanding.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions at this point, let's go to, I think, Tracy, are you taking SBA or is Latanya?
Hey, this is Ray Harbor. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're coming through fine. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Hi, Jim. This is Ray Harbor. I'm with SBA Disaster Assistance. Thank you so much for having us. We're glad to be here with our federal partner, and we're glad to provide information about the status of where we are with this declaration. As many of you may or may not know, SBA is the primary source of funding during we may not be as well known as FEMA, but we actually are the primary source of the funding. We offer a comprehensive suite of low-interest disaster loans. These loans are available to businesses of all sizes. They're available to nonprofit organizations. That would include churches. They're available to homeowners and renters. So offer a wide net to try to cover the community as much as possible and make as many people eligible to apply for disaster assistance from SBA. Businesses can borrow up to $2 million for physical damages and for working capital. The working capital loans, you may have heard of EIDL, the EIDL, which basically, that's the acronym, but we're talking about working capital loans. So businesses can apply for physical damages. They can apply for the working capital. The working capital, they can apply for whether or not they had physical damages. And the total is the $2 million amount. For businesses, those rates are as low as 3.75%. Homeowners can borrow up to $200,000 for their primary residence. And those rates are as low as 1.563%. So again, that's $200,000, and that is for the primary residence. Additionally, homeowners and renters can borrow up to $40,000 for their personal property, their contents. That might include computer equipment. It could include an automobile. So a homeowner could borrow $200,000 for their primary residence, $40,000 for their contents. Additionally, those loan amounts can be increased by 20% of the amount of damage for mitigation to help protect against similar damage in the future. And I really wanted to highlight this point today because it's one of the many reasons that anyone who's had damage should apply for an SBA disaster loan. For example, that mitigation might include a safe room. It might include a storm shelter, something that would help protect the homeowner and the property from damage in the future. That can be added on to this disaster loan at the low interest rate. And additionally, those terms are up to 30 years. For the disaster loan program that we offer, there is no collateral required for loans under $25,000. And I like to really explain the process, which is because it can be a little bit complicated. And I like to really break it down because the first step is very easy. Register with FEMA. And then FEMA is going to refer those applicants over to SBA where they can apply for an SBA disaster loan. But we all know sometimes people think that they don't need a disaster loan, they don't want one. That's absolutely not a good reason for not applying. People should go ahead and apply if they have been impacted by this disaster. There is no, it's free to apply. There is no fee to apply. There's no fee to cancel the loan. There's no fee to withdraw it. There's no fee to put it on hold. There's no fee to pay it down or pay it off with insurance. It's absolutely free to apply for an SBA disaster loan. And when someone applies for the loan, if they're approved, they can decide whether or not they want to accept it. And they have 6 months where they can after they've been approved. So that's a really good way for someone who's been impacted to not worry about the May 4th deadline that's around the corner. Maybe someone doesn't know and they're trying to put together their resources and they're not sure yet. They should go ahead and apply. And then if they're approved, they put it on hold. They've got 6 months. And during that time period, maybe they find out they can put together a better strategy without a loan. But because they've applied, they can simply cancel it, walk away, no fee involved whatsoever. So the first step is register with FEMA. When they're referred to SBA, they should go ahead and apply for that SBA disaster loan. They can decide if they want to accept it or if they want to put it on hold. Now, if the SBA is unable to approve someone for the loan, the reason we're unable to approve someone for the loan is that there would be a lack of ability to repay it. So the last thing we want to do is burden someone with a loan that they would have difficulty repaying. And when that happens, there's a great program where we refer them back to FEMA, and then they become eligible to apply for additional grant assistance with FEMA. So the process starts with FEMA, it comes to SBA, and then for the ones we cannot approve, they go back to FEMA. So we kind of work circular in that way. And a lot of people think that maybe they should wait on their insurance determination. I would encourage anyone, do not wait for your insurance. Because if your insurance comes through, you can pay down, pay off, or cancel the loan. So there's no reason to wait. There's no reason to wait for the May 4th deadline. Today is as good a day as any day to go ahead and apply and get started. And what I want to say about this disaster is during the course of this disaster, we've obviously had this COVID experience, which is new to all of us. And for me, it's why it's so important to get the word out. And I hope everyone today can help us spread the word so that anyone who has had damage from this disaster gets in the system, registers with FEMA, and continues with SBA. It really takes a village to cover from a disaster. It takes neighbor helping neighbor. It takes communities helping communities. It takes the county, the state, the federal government. It takes all of us working together. It takes you, it takes me, it takes us all. And we're a team here, and we have just got to get the word out to encourage everyone that even though this COVID is going on, to really stop and to deal with this disaster declaration before the deadline and to get in the process and apply. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. This is a good time, I think, for me to reinforce what you just said, in that the most important thing we want to emphasize today, our messaging today, is to register. And the end of the registration period is less than 2 weeks away. So we want to encourage you. We want to encourage your constituents. We want to encourage the community groups, some of which we've already spoken to get the word out that please register for assistance, and then you'll be able to take advantage of the SBA part of the assistance.
Exactly.
This, and let me go back to the letters of eligibility that Alicia mentioned. If and when you receive a letter of eligibility, it may be nothing more than asking you for some additional information, additional documentation. It should never be considered as I've heard them called letters of denial, which is simply not true. They may only be asking for information about your application, and you could either respond to the letter, it will tell you how to respond, or by calling the helpline. Let's see, let's go to Norma, you on the line and want to speak to HUD and its influence in the community. Norma, are you with us?
I'm sorry, I was talking. I didn't take my mic off. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Yes, we can hear you just fine now. Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Norma Mitchell. I'm the Field Office Director for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Nashville Field Office. First, I want to take a moment to thank all the members of the Metro Council's Special Committee on Tornado Recovery for inviting us to participate and have this opportunity to speak with you. As you probably know, HUD's mission is to provide safe, decent, and affordable housing to low and moderate income households. During the recent March 3rd tornado that devastated several communities within Nashville, our thoughts and prayers are with the people in the affected areas. I'm going to highlight several programs that are set up for disaster assistance to individuals impacted. But first, I want to emphasize that please encourage your residents, community organizations to make sure that they exhaust the assistance and resources available through FEMA and SBA. When they do approach HUD lenders and grantees, that will be one of the questions or one of the considerations. And so at the federal level, we want to exhaust what we call the first responder assistance, which is available through FEMA and SBA. Our disaster relief program has funds that go directly to state and local government that individuals and community-based organizations can apply directly to. These programs are operated under the Office of Community Planning and Development, and they are known as the Community Development Block Grant Program and the Home Investment Program. CDBG has funds that can primarily assist with homeowner rehabilitation, some infrastructure improvements, and the Home Investment Program can be used for rental housing improvements, rehabilitation, also new construction. For more information or individuals that want to apply, the state Tennessee Housing Development Agency can be reached at 615-815-2200, and that's option 0. Locally, they would contact MDHA, the Metropolitan Development Housing Agency, at 615-252-8400, option 3. In addition to those grant programs, we have FHA guarantee loan programs. One is our 203H mortgage insurance for disaster victims. And that allows FHA to insure mortgages made by qualified lenders to victims of a major disaster who have lost their homes and they are in the process of rebuilding or buying another home. For individuals that are interested in that program, they can contact our FHA Resource Center at 1-800-CALL-FHA. We also have a Section 32K rehabilitation mortgage insurance. And this program is primarily for the rehabilitation and repair of single-family properties. It's an important tool for community and neighborhood revitalization, as well as expanding home ownership opportunities. Section 203K insured loans save borrowers time and money, and it also protects the lender by allowing them to have insured loans. For properties that are located also in an opportunity zone, they have a rehab maximum amount of $35,000. For the disaster victims in other areas, the maximum loan amount will be $25,000 for the rehab loan. The rehab loan can be a part of a mortgage, so that can be rolled into the actual mortgage. In addition, we have our Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity that provides guidance on complying with the Fair Housing Act, how to avoid housing discrimination, and how to seek help for a complaint. Their contact number is 1-800-400-8091. Two other options are the resource disaster response toolkit that's developed by our Office of Policy Development and Research. And it provides guidance on how to rehabilitate homes, particularly flooded homes, as well as other impacted properties, design and construction practices, moisture resistance and durability, preparing for future disasters to aid in the recovery process. That toolkit is available by calling the HUD User Clearinghouse at 800-245-2691 and pressing option 1. One other very important resource are our HUD-approved housing counseling agency. There are a number of agencies that operate in the Nashville area, and they can assist homeowners with preparation for loans and provide, as well as providing post guidance. And a list of HUD-approved loans can be found on our HUD Exchange website. It's hudexchange.info. They can also contact the local field office. My cell number is 615-946-5408. In closing, I just look forward to working with our partners, the City of Nashville, State, FEMA, SBA, and other federal agencies that are serving the needs of the impacted communities. Are there any questions for me?
Councilman, do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Well, then let me, if you're thinking of questions, just I'll take them in a moment. Let me close by reminding you of our partnership with the state of Tennessee. We are very much a partner with the Tennessee Department of Emergency Management, and in fact, we work with them daily and we support them. So that in many cases, that is your primary source of information. We just want to acknowledge that and be sure that you understand the importance of our partnership and our working with the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. Let's see, Chair, do you have any additional questions that come up?
Jim, I don't know if you can provide this, but how long is the process usually? We're going to encourage constituents to go out there and apply. And I know that from the presentation, the process is circular with you guys and SBA. How long is that process? If I register with FEMA, then I'm referred to SBA, then I'm not eligible with SBA for whatever reason, then I'm referred back to FEMA. typically, how long is that process?
Let me begin that answer, and then Alicia, if you want to chime in at the end, you could do that. First of all, to apply with FEMA, and if you are eligible for a grant, that could be a very short turnaround. In fact, it's a matter of days. If you let us know what your banking account numbers, we could direct deposit funds directly into your account. Now, if you immediately qualify or are eligible for some funding, that could happen then. Now, we also, as Ray mentioned, we also refer you to SBA, and SBA goes through an application process. So I'm not sure I have a date or time frame on that. Kind of depends on the application. But first of all, I will ask Alicia, do you have anything to add to what I said about the grant funding?
Hello. Actually, I did want to mention one thing, and that is our remote inspections. If there is a way to let your constituents know if they have not yet received a FEMA inspection, we are not doing boots on the ground inspections. So it's very important that they take off incoming phone calls at this time. These phone calls from our inspectors, they're going to conduct a interview/inspection over the telephone, and record what the applicant tells them that their losses are, the damage to the home, personal property, and so forth. The inspectors are calling from their FEMA-issued iPhones, so it could be a variety of area codes. It could be a 540, 940, 202 area code, and could even be others not just mentioned. The importance of taking these calls is at a very high level right now, because we've got so many that we're trying to contact to conduct these inspections.
Thank you so much. That's very important information right there. I made note of that. Council members, I hope you make note of that as well.
Ray, did you want to fill anything about the SBA application? I know you mentioned it before, but did you want to add anything to that in light of that question?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You're on. Ray? I heard you, but now you're off. You're still on mute.
There she goes.
There you go.
Am I in? Okay. Yes.
You're in. You're okay.
With SBA, that the processing time is largely dependent upon the applicant. The applicant needs to fill out the application and provide some documentation, which would include some financial statements, some tax return information, the ability to show that they can repay the loan. So much of the SBA processing time is contingent upon how quickly the applicant provides that type of information. And what I can say right now is that we are working diligently. We are turning around these applications as quickly as possible. And our funding for this program is not contingent upon the funding that is going on for COVID-19. So that funding does not apply here. We have plenty of money for this program. There's no limit. And anyone who's had damage or who needs working capital can apply. We're doing it as quickly as we can. I can't give specific timeframes right now, but the sooner someone applies, the sooner they turn in their documentation, the sooner they'll get a determination.
Yeah. So I would reinforce that in all cases, it is contingent upon the information and the active participation of the applicant in the process. And also make another point that Ray just mentioned, that the COVID funding has absolutely no impact upon what we do with this disaster. And this is solely focused on the survivors for the March 3rd tornadoes.
Great point, Jim. And yeah, we really want to emphasize that we just don't want people to not jump into this process because they're distracted with COVID. We want to encourage anyone who's had damage to take advantage, start with registering with FEMA, and continue the process.
Chair Virtue, this is Councilmember Parker. I was hoping to ask another question. So, again, with this deadline looming and the really challenging environment for city officials and leaders to communicate messages to residents who might not be active in online groups, or we might not have their contact information, or they just might not be connected with the information about the deadline. One, is there, this is kind of like the question I asked earlier, is there any way to know sort of how well we're doing, like our FEMA registration rate compared to comparable disasters historically? And also, is there any chance of, because of the extraordinary circumstances, the registration deadline being extended beyond May 4th?
Yes, thank you. I can answer that in two parts. First of all, your last question first about the extension. The extension may be requested by the state. In other words, the state of Tennessee may request an extension depending on their assessment of the current situation. And so that's where the extension would come from. Now, to answer your first question as to whether this is how should I say, historically relevant to other disasters, we don't compare one disaster to another. It's simply not a fair disaster, and if it's your home that's destroyed, then that is the biggest disaster there is. So no, I'm not in a position to compare this to other disasters.
Well, thank you, sir. I'm specifically wondering about the registration rate. Like if there was let's say there were 10,000 damaged parcels in one disaster and we ended up getting, 4,000 registrations. I just wondered if you could share any information about how Davidson County's numbers break down in that regard, not necessarily to the severity of the disaster, but just the registration rate, if just some kind of benchmark so we can know how we're doing in terms of getting people to register.
No, I'm sorry, I do not have that data.
Okay.
Hi, this is Ray Harbor with SBA. The one thing I would like to add in is that statewide, we have already approved over $9 million. And in Davidson County, we have already approved $3.264 million.
Great, thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Hi, excuse me, this is Sir Norma. Would you repeat that data again, please?
Right. For statewide, for the declaration, the SBA has already approved over $9 million. For Davidson County alone, we have already approved $3.264 million.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And that number includes, that's all of Davidson County, the 3.26 million?
Correct. That is all of Davidson County, yes.
Okay. Council members, do you have any more questions for FEMA and SBA? I think that the highlight is that we want to make sure that for those that we're still having contact with, that we continue to encourage them to apply regardless before the May 4th deadline.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, seeing no questions. Thank you so much, Jim, and your team for being with us today and providing your expertise. so that we can make sure that we are meeting the needs of those that continue to be impacted by this disaster. Thank you guys so much. We're going to go ahead and just continue with our agenda. We now have our updates from utilities. Council members, this is a request from you guys from our last call. I believe we have Councilman Taylor on the phone. You should have received that update through your email also. But I'll go ahead and let Councilman Taylor provide that update. Councilman Taylor?
Sure. Hello?
Councilman Taylor?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, thank you. So, yes, I wanted to provide a quick update. So I've received both an update from Comcast as well as from NES. And there's a video that I'll send you, Madam Chair, from AT&T that they sent in regards to their recovery. So right now, there's not a full recovery for AT&T. They are still continuing to work toward a full recovery throughout the entire Davidson County area. And I'm working with the Government Affairs member, Kathy Sager, in that regard. When it comes to Comcast as well doesn't have a full recovery, but they're also working towards getting there. And they also wanted to note that they are, with the COVID-19 pandemic, they are offering special rates and also free internet to individuals throughout the entire Davidson County area. And also with Comcast, you should be receiving an email from Kimberly at Comcast for 3 opportunities to have a call with them in regards to their restoration, so they can answer questions directly. And that will be, you should have already received it. And if you haven't received it, I can also send it to you, and we'll be able to get on that call. 3 options for next week. And then for NES, we were able to send you all an update, and NES is working. Power is restored to all residents. There are a few poles that they have to replace and lines that have to replace for security lights at homes if you're paying for an additional security light. And if you haven't had that light replaced, you can make sure that you're receiving the discounted rate and fees for not having that light on.
Thank you so much, Councilman Taylor. Mr. Phillip Jones with Public Works, we had some council members that were still having some debris for various areas. If you can give us an update for tornado cleanup, essentially, for these areas.
Yes, ma'am, Council Lady, thank you. We're in really good shape this morning. I think by tomorrow afternoon, we should have everything on the curbside, in the alleys, in the right-of-way picked up. I really feel like this is our probably 3rd pass through every area has gotten service. And at the end of this phase, probably by the middle of next week, we're going to go into a new phase to where the contractors, I'll release the contractors, and we will move into an in-house model where we'll go to a call-in basis. Because I know there's still going to be homes out there that's going to keep coming out. And as they come out, we'll just get those turned in and plug those addresses independently. As of date, we've picked up about 300,000 cubic yards as of yesterday afternoon.
Okay, Phillip, is it anything that the council members need to be letting the homeowners know to better assist you guys?
I mean, it's pretty much the same standard message that we've been pushing. You know, if they could keep the vegetation separated from the C and D. And the other thing is there's a little bit of mix up, but now we need to remember, and I hope everybody understands, the new construction debris as they're getting repairs done to their homes, those things are not eligible. Those we won't pick up. So those are kind of the responsibility of the property owner or the contractor. But as they get new repairs done and they have debris from the new repairs, that's just not part of the eligible material that we pick up.
Okay. Council members, do you have any questions with Mr. Philip Jones with Public Works?
Excuse me. Yes, this is Councilmember Parker. I wanted to, it's been a few days since I've been down there and I haven't actually, had any complaints or anything about the area, but I just wondered if you could share an update about Frederick Douglass Park in East Nashville and how long that's going to be used as an area.
Yes, sir. It's a temporary transfer site, and we hope to close it out by the end of next week. And depending on the weather, probably within 2 weeks, we should have it back restored into its original state. I'm hoping 3 weeks from now, if weather will hold up for us to stay dry enough to get our topsoil back in there, we'll get it back in place.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Council lady, this is Jeff Syracuse. Philip, hope you're doing well. Something just to be thinking about. I asked Sharon this, and she got me a quick response. But as far as communication that we can give to people, because I know more of this kind of inquiry is coming, as you wrap up this special debris pickup, people are already starting to ask, well, how is that going to impact the regular pickup? For Area 3 over here, it's supposed to start by the end of May, and I understand that's going to be delayed, understandably. So any time that you guys have some firm numbers or dates, and then you can get communication out to us about how this is going to impact those regular pickups, that would be great.
You're speaking of your regular brush pickup, correct?
Yes, sir.
We've been very fortunate. I think we're going to be able to stay on schedule. I see no issue.
Oh, okay. That's great.
It could change. I don't want to sit here and tell you if once we release the contractors, we may start having some issues picking up both. But I feel real confident we're going to be able to stay on schedule.
That's okay. Good deal. Thank you.
Councilwoman Evans. Councilwoman Evans?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So I had a question about Tulip Grove Road and in Hermitage, and there was a section where a lot of trees had come down, and I noticed that they're kind of partially in the right of way and partially on private property. And I guess, is that something that Public Works will give residents guidance or follow-up communication about? Because I think there may be an expectation that, this qualifies as debris. And so it's something that I can follow up and put in the hub, as far as specific addresses. But I think that they're lingering because I think there's probably a thought that Public Works is going to get those.
Yes, ma'am. And we're glad. If anything you want to enter like that, or they want to enter into the hub, we'll get an inspector out to verify. But basically, the rule of thumb is anything that fell out of our right of way, yes, ma'am, we'll be responsible and take care of. Anything that fell out of their right of way may be crossed over into ours, but if it's established in their right of way, it's their responsibility. Okay. Now, once they cut it up and get it to the right of way, we will pick it up and remove it.
I'll add them in the hub then. I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any more questions for Public Works Council members? Okay, then we'll briefly go to, I'm not seeing anyone with their hand raised. I don't know if he's still on the call. Mr. Mark North, he did send an email. Mr. Mark North, you on the phone?
I am on the call. Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Go ahead. If you can provide us your update with Metro Schools from our last meeting.
Yes, ma'am. During the last meeting, I was given 2 assignments. One was to make sure that we put out notice and information about the pending deadline, the FEMA deadline on May 4th. We have done that, and we'll continue to put out that information to be sure everyone has notice as much as we can. Also, the other assignment was to work with Councilmember Evans on a particular apartment complex that was affected on Old Hickory Boulevard. And we have looked at the list of students who reside in that apartment complex, most of whom we reached and communicated with and provided services immediately after the tornado, some of whom we didn't, or they're not listed in the group that we reached. Of course, teachers and counselors and principals are taking part in the remote learning now and continuing to contact all of their students, but we are making a special effort to reach the students who live or who were displaced from that apartment complex. What complicates it, and this was interesting to me, and I think it will be to you, is there were 66 students who lived in that apartment complex, and they attended 17 different schools, which is really amazing to me. But 17 different schools, metro schools, are represented in that one apartment complex. All of those school counselors are circling back and checking all of those. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to address them. If you have particular areas or families that you want, that you need us to contact or to check on, please let me know.
Thank you so much, Mr. North. Council members, do you have any questions? I said Mr. Mr. Mark North. Do you have any questions for Mark? Okay, seeing none. We do have Community Foundation also here as well.
Yes, hello. This is Amy Fair from the Community Foundation. And I am the Vice President of Donor Services. And also I'm the lead staff person that is working on tornado response with the advisory committee of the Middle Tennessee Emergency Response Fund. So I was able to listen in on the first call. So I'm very glad to be here to be able to speak to some of the things that I heard that the committee were asking. I also provided to the chair some information that I thought would be good additional background for council members that provided some perspective on the Community Foundation's history in working with the nonprofit community and through our grant making to help you better understand how we ensure accountability of the nonprofit organizations and have great knowledge of the Middle Tennessee and Nashville nonprofit community. In terms of some of the key points that I wanted to focus on so everybody had a baseline of understanding was that we are one of the members of the SEMP agreement with the city of Nashville, Metro Nashville, and SEMP stands for Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. And that is a wonderful, unique tool for Nashville and really highlights our ability in the area of disaster preparedness. The named organizations that are part of the SEMP agreement are really focused on their core competencies. And in our case, that has to do with fundraising and grant making. We meet on a regular basis with the other members of the SEMP. We've started meeting on a weekly basis and talking and sharing ideas. And the whole point of the SEMP agreement is to ensure that there is that coordinated effort and that the organizations that really are the core support in specific areas are focused on what they do best. Because the SEMP agreement had been in place and that many of these agencies worked together in the May 2010 flood, really has helped us get an advanced plan together and worked more quickly than in the flood because we'd been through the experience together. We knew what things looked like, and we had some disaster relief and recovery experience under our belt. We appreciate that we're in partnership with Metro Nashville with the SEMP, and certainly can speak to that in any of the questions. I wanted to talk a little bit about the funding and where we are in terms of both fundraising and fund distribution. I would say Nashville and its profile that has been raised over the last decade, both nationally and internationally, has really helped us in the fundraising efforts. Last Friday, we had a committee meeting of our Middle Tennessee Emergency Response Fund Committee, and I provided them some data looking at the comparable of fundraising effort and grant making effort from the tornado to the May 2010 flood. And the numbers are very distinguishable. In May 2010, at the 5-week point, we had raised just over $3 million from about 15,000 donors. At the 5-week point for the flood, or for the tornado, excuse me, we had raised just over $9 million from over 20,000 donors. So certainly online fundraising, which is certainly more popular today, has helped that, but definitely Nashville's profile has been true. Because we've raised more money, we've certainly then given more money out. In May 2010, at the 5-week mark, we had given out 53 grants, totaling about $450,000. For tornado at the 5-week mark, we had given out over 70 grants totaling $2.7 million to nonprofits and churches, both in Davidson County as well as Wilson and Putnam counties. To date, as of this point in time, we currently have about $10.1 million that has been received at the Community Foundation and an additional $1.3 million in known commitments that are out in the community. But I can tell you, even with COVID really taking over much of the attention, we still on a daily basis are getting calls and emails from a number of places of people wanting to make donations in support of the tornado relief. In terms of grant making, we've now made over $3 million in grants out to the community in the form of 93 grants to 83 different organizations. This week, with an announcement of a small slate of grants, it will be our 7th round of grant making for tornado funding. And the focus has been thus far on immediate relief. What we are looking at, the top categories being food, direct cash assistance, rent, mortgage, utility assistance, and basic necessities. We do all of this, of course, by making grants to the nonprofit communities and churches. And then those groups who really do have the direct relationships with individuals on the ground are making those grants to the community. One of the sheets that I provided was a list of contact information with links and emails and phone numbers for the organizations that specifically are doing work in the area of housing and utilities. That is what I heard on last week's call is really being the big key area of interest to council members on behalf of their residents. And I'm happy to put together a similar information sheet for other services such as mental health, legal assistance, food assistance, and all other categories that may be those things that residents are really continuing to need in the community. The committee, what the process is, so you're aware, we have an open application. Everything about tornado response can be found at our website, which is tornadoresponse.com. We have information there about the committee, about the grantees, about how much money has been raised to date. We have an area of stories and news. We're trying to begin as we really stand up our formal reporting and data collection from the nonprofit organizations, some sample stories of the organizations that are on the ground and the work that they're doing and how they're using the funds to date. The application for applying for funding does not have a deadline. We're accepting rolling applications. That's partly because we know from our experience in disaster funding that we will be in this for the long haul, serving both the immediate relief needs currently and the long-term needs that typically run in a disaster out about 18 to 24 months, depending upon the severity of it. The application is pretty straightforward. Anyone is eligible to apply that is a 501c3 or a 501c3 public charity equivalent. That may be a church, it may be a school. In the case of Metro schools, Nashville Public Schools received funds, and of course they've been readily promoting that they are the main source and not on an individual school level from a public school standpoint. But what happens is the nonprofits apply. We have a staff of 3 that are reviewing those on a weekly basis. Some people are better grant writers than others. So in some cases, it's very clear people are providing data, providing information, and we don't, oh, excuse me? Oh, it must be feedback. So when an organization applies, if everything is crystal clear, we may be able to forward that on to the committee for decision making. And the fact of the matter is, of the 83 organizations that have received funding thus far, only about 6 of those are organizations that we had no knowledge or history with in grant making. So we have a pretty good understanding. We always are welcoming new or lesser known organizations. We just may have additional questions and due diligence that we follow up on because we're not as familiar with an organization. It's myself and another staff member who has been involved in grant making at the foundation for about 20 years. And then our manager of our Giving Matters portal, which is a database that provides information to the public about the financial and programmatic activities of about 1,800 nonprofit organizations in Middle Tennessee. We are calling organizations, we are emailing organizations if things are unclear. It's really a two-way street. And we put together a slate for the committee to make considerations. We put it before them on a weekly basis, and they've also asked that they meet. Hopefully soon it will be face-to-face, but thus far, our meeting last week and our next meeting in May will be via Zoom. In terms of accountability for both ourselves and the nonprofit organizations, we're publicizing all of that information on tornado response. So we're showing money in and money out. We will be putting reporting data and final numbers on there, of course, as we get through the recovery period. And we'll be asking both qualitative and quantitative questions of the organizations, as well as really a check-in with nonprofits to see how their organizational capacity was affected by their work in the tornado, whether it was their staff being stretched too thin, their ability to get back to what will be, of course, a new normal. But we are very much wanting to be a part of making all of the information available in a public way, and are happy to talk a little bit more deeply about organizations and how we evaluate them. And certainly, we know that we've not exhausted the list of organizations that may be doing relief or recovery work, but we know that for many of them, they have been so busy doing the work to take a step back and have time to fill out paperwork to receive funds hasn't been their priority. But we welcome any suggestions that any council member, any nonprofit in the community, any other member of the community, to encourage those that they know have been doing the work to contact us and look into the possibility of receiving funds from the Community Foundation. I think that covers most of the bases that I wanted to cover, but I certainly would love to answer any questions that anyone has. Well, thank you. I will be sending to the council members all of my contact information, and know it's an open door for you to contact me at any time.
Council members, do you have any questions for the Community Foundation?
I don't. Just thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's just focus on getting caught up. I just got off of a phone conversation with several council members, and they were talking about me putting on a new schedule, but I'm sure that's not necessary.
Amy, how are the nonprofits chosen as it relates to delivery of service for those impacted by the tornado?
Well, they apply through the grant that's available at Tornado Response. So any organization can apply. Certainly there's a great number of organizations that we've seen receive funds that were very involved in the flood, and the nature of their work is such that it does directly intersect with tornado recovery. But we certainly welcome any application from someone who may be a new organization, or maybe, like we've said, we've given money to churches and they might not typically be involved in something like this. But in the case of disasters, what we've really seen and heard from people is that, especially for people, maybe this is their first disaster or the first time that they've really been put in a position where they've had to ask for such significant assistance, they really go to those trusted partners like their clergy or their churches. So that's why they play a pivotal role as well. In terms of decision-making, like I mentioned, there are 3 of us on staff that review the initial information. We summarize that and then share that with the Middle Tennessee Emergency Response Fund Committee, which is comprised of members of the community. Some of those positions are defined by the SEMP agreement, and then others, we have flexibility in appointing people to those positions. All of those committee members are listed at tornadoresponse.com at the bottom of the grantee page. And we've been very intentional about making sure that we have representation that gives us perspective on the communities that have been impacted in Nashville. But certainly we would welcome any additional suggestions of people because, again, like I said, we'll be in this for the long haul.
When will you guys expect to have the reporting back from the organizations that receive the grant monies so we can determine who they actually service as it relates to receiving the funds from you guys?
Sure. So this first group of grants, typical in most disasters, in most disasters, I think someone doesn't have their mute on. In most disasters, the immediate relief activity subsides really after 30 to 60 days. It's that what I call food, shelter, and clothing. We are working on getting reporting requirements out to those groups next week because we've really seen that first wave of immediate relief it's still occurring, but it's trickled off somewhat. We'll ask them to return those reports fairly quickly. The kinds of questions that we'll be asking aren't terribly intrusive, and I can tell you we've already been asking some of the nonprofit questions that have come around for a second grouping of grants. So I would say within the next 30 to 60 days, we'll have some reporting available for the immediate relief category, and we'll be happy to share that information.
Okay, I don't see any council members seeking recognition. Do y'all have any further questions?
Thank you.
So I see none. So thank you so much, Amy. I see we have Greg on the call too. Greg, is there any updates you would like to provide?
Thank you, Council Member. The long-term recovery group is moving forward. Our construction team has already had a couple of obviously virtual meetings, and they're ready to go. They've got several contractors who are ready to build when that time comes, and we're hoping that's going to be sooner rather than later. Most important thing is the long-term casework has begun, and I'd like to share a Tornado Recovery Connection phone number, 615-270-9255. So if anyone has a current unmet need as a result of the tornadoes, they can call that line, leave a message. It's open 24 hours a day, and they'll receive a call back within 24-hour period. That puts that individual, that homeowner, that renter into the casework system. All confidential. They start to get some information about what they need. Have they applied for FEMA? Anyone who applies for FEMA at some point, that those people roll into this casework database so that we can help all these people going forward get as great a recovery as possible. So that number again is 615-270-9255. and that's the Tornado Recovery Connection. And all of our casework people are feeding into a general database as much as possible. And that line is open. I believe the mayor is going to have an announcement about it tomorrow. Other than that, we're just, waiting for some of these things to populate and are moving forward.
Thank you so much. So that number you provided, is that the number that council members can give out for the caseworkers?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Anybody, any of their constituents who again have an unmet need, who had a problem as a result of the tornado, they can give that number to the constituent, and that constituent can call that number and get into the casework program, and they'll have a caseworker follow up with them and get all their information and everything that they need.
Thank you. Hey, Craig, well, the caseworkers, we had FEMA on the phone earlier. Are those caseworkers also qualified to help them walk through the FEMA process as well?
Yeah, those caseworkers have been hired and trained. And so UMCOR, the United Methodist Center for Disaster Relief, that do disasters all over the country, know how to train these folks. They can help them with FEMA. They can help them with utilities. They can help them pretty much get them on the road to recovery.
So they'll be able to serve essentially as a one-stop shop?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just don't want us to have to refer constituents to this agency, that agency, and so forth.
Yeah, they can help them. They are a caseworker in the full sense of the word, is that they will help that person get what they need when they need it, and stay with them through the process.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't see any council members seeking recognition. I just want to thank everyone for taking the time out your day to be on this Tornado Recovery Committee meeting. FEMA, Metro Schools, Public Works, of course, the council members, Community Foundation, the mayor's office, Greg's office, and I'm sure I missed someone. But before we end, I do want to have Rusty Lawrence with Urban Housing Solutions, if he could provide some information to council members and how they can relay that information to their constituents for housing needs, because that was part of the issues from the last call too. Go ahead, Mr. Lawrence.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay. The good and bad news is that we have 1,300 units. 400 were semi-damaged by the tornado, but they're all up and running now. The bad news is that we only have about 10 that are vacant. And so we do have some availability, but not very much. We're taking applications and leasing units still. People can apply at our office at 822 Woodland Street, or they can go to our website, which is urbanhousingsolutions.org, and they can apply online.
Are they able to, like with Greg's, with his caseworkers, or is that a seamless process if they were to contact his caseworker to facilitate the application process for housing with your organization, or would that not work?
I don't know, Greg. Is that, are y'all making referrals over to us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we're happy to make yeah. We have urban housing resources have been on our calls with our larger group on Wednesdays, and we absolutely can make referrals over. Now, they are not, depending on how complicated, Rusty, your application is, they may just refer somebody over to one of your folks who can help them with that application. But, you know, if somebody needs housing, Urban Housing Resources is on our list of of folks that we're working with.
Good, that's the way to do it.
So for the 10 vacancies, are those 10 vacancies reserved for tornado families?
No, I hate to tell you,
Those vacancies before.
they're not reserved for tornado families, but we could give priority to tornado families that come and identify themselves as such.
Can we do that?
Yes, you can.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Lawrence. Looks like no one has any questions. So council members, I hope the information you received today was beneficial and you can continue to relay that information to your constituents that's recovering from the tornado. Looks like I see, Mr. Pro Tem, were you seeking recognition?
No, I was just going to say thank you. I appreciate you leading this effort. It means a lot.
No, thank you guys. So that's going to conclude our meeting. Council members, we have COVID, we have the budget. Ms. Fair indicated that they're in their first wave as it relates to the allocation for the funds for the organizations that's delivering those services and resources to the tornado families. So what we'll do, we'll allow time for them to get that data back before we convene another meeting. So with that said, just make sure you keep, stay posted as it relates to specifically the tornado for our next upcoming meeting. I don't know when that will be. I'm going to wait for to get some feedback from the Community Foundation so that we're not prematurely making assumptions as it relates to tornado recovery. We want to make sure that we have the most accurate data that we can have to ensure that we're not leaving any families behind. And again, just want to thank everyone for being on the meeting today. And that concludes our business. Thanks, everyone.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other